Hello and welcome to another episode of MetalCast from Metal Coffee Shop. My name is Karen Edwards, and today's episode we're going to be talking about how to recession-proof your business with metal. And joining me for the conversation today is Melissa Dunson from Central States Manufacturing. Melissa, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Karen. Love doing these with you.
Yes. Always great to chat with you about metal and contractors and what's going on in the industry. So, for those who don't know who you are, can you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about you and your background.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Melissa Dunson. I'm the Director of Marketing for Central States Manufacturing, which at Central States includes traditional marketing, sales enablement, customer training, and product management. Been in metal for about 2.5 years, but been in the industry a long time: asphalt shingles, composite decking, waterproofing, cements and coatings, roll products. So I love building products. Really passionate about the segment and the love of our customers.
Yeah. And it's obvious whenever we have you on a podcast or we talk about it that you are passionate about it. So let's talk about, when economic uncertainty hits the construction industry, right? I've been listening to some speakers, reading some articles. There was just a conversation yesterday talking about commercial construction. And the first half of the year, it was a little a little uncertain. They're looking good for the second half of the year. And the economy, things that are happening can really affect the construction industry. So when this is happening, what are some of the opportunities that you see for contractors who could potentially expand into metal roofing or metal building systems?
Yeah, so the word I always like to use is adaptability. And then another word you're going to hear me say a lot today is diversification, right? So you're right. The building products and construction market is very susceptible to a wide variety of pressures and economic uncertainty, that everything that has to do with political landscapes, to wars, to gas prices, to interest rates. I mean, all of those things are really impacted. They're impacting the labor pool, building codes.
Right.
There's a lot of different things that can impact it. The one thing that's really interesting is that sometimes there is a full sort of general across the board construction industry is down. It's more common that certain segments of the construction industry or the building products industry are more affected than other parts of the industry. And the reason I would tell people you got to diversify, right? You can't have all your eggs in one basket, is because if something happens in the market that's causing a specific segment of that market, and that could be something like roofing or siding or metal buildings, or it could be something like ag, residential, commercial. Think about it in those kind of two different ways of segmenting out your business. If you're really over leveraged in one of those areas, you are disproportionately affected by what's happening in that specific market. But if you have a diversification of your business and in your product offering, you are much more likely to be able to pivot. Say commercial's down, you're going to pivot to residential. Say ag is down, you're going to be able to pivot over here to self-storage. Say shingles are down, you're going to be able to pivot to metal. So being able to kind of spin in that way is the reason it's super important that contractors are looking at their business and not just doing or being one thing.
Yeah. So well said. And, so many people start in the roofing industry, especially, they start out in asphalt shingles because it's a low barrier to entry, right?
It absolutely is.
Don't need specialized tools. It's
right.
not,
overly complex.
Yeah. And they get in a rhythm and they're doing well. But as you said, when one area is affected, what are you going to do? So for those that are thinking, let's talk about the opportunities that metal roofing and buildings can give to contractors during slower economic cycles.
Yeah, so one of the things we like to say is you don't recession-proof your business by selling more of the same thing. You recession-proof it by giving customers more reasons to buy from you, right? So one of the things you can look at is I've seen contractors who very heavy into like new con, right? Because it's easy, they know how to do it, they can get the jobs easily. It seems like it's a steady supply, and then suddenly something happens with new construction. and they are kind of left there in that moment trying to pivot. But instead, having some things in their back pocket and saying, I have part of my business in this, I have part of my business in re-roof, and then being able to say, not just I'm going to re-roof, but I'm going to offer customers of various types different kinds of products that appeal to those different types of customers, right? So there are movements within the U.S. where asphalt shingles are falling out of favor in certain areas, certain states, certain HOAs, and being able to offer a product that to those kind of agencies and larger groups is something that you can offer in there that they're willing to have in their neighborhood, or to a customer type. And here's an interesting thing to think about. One of the things I was talking to Principia the other day, and we were talking about metal shingles, right? Really high-end premium roofing. And we were saying it's interesting because even in difficult economic times where maybe there are large sections of the population are trying to pinch pennies, right? Trying to save money, there continue to be pockets of consumers who are not affected in the same way, and they are not necessarily trying to budget. And so those folks are not necessarily interested in the cheapest thing. So being able to offer a premium product to the people who at the end of the day are most interested in the premium product and have the cash at the moment to pay for it is really, really helpful. I also think offering metal in a difficult economic situation can help differentiate your business by offering more than the other guys are offering, right? So being someone who is excellent at installing a variety of different kinds of roofing materials and being able to give consumers something more, it actually says something about your business, can elevate your business above your competition, and help you have that kind of extra leg up in the market.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you had a lot to say there.
Yeah.
I'm going to circle back to
Sure.
we're seeing a rise in metal roofing and the reasons which you named when we started a few minutes ago. Their asphalt shingles are falling out of favor in some areas. The weather is changing dramatically, right? Wildfires have just exploded. It just seems they're more than ever. So metal has all of these features and benefits that make it really appealing for folks in those areas that are experiencing severe weather, hurricane, high winds, fire risk. And I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but there are projections that I think it makes up about 20% of the residential market right now, and it's projected to continue to grow.
Yeah, so I actually do have some numbers.
Yes.
So I have some numbers I just got in the last couple of weeks. But a couple of years ago, we were looking at the metal roofing market in the U.S., and I think it was around $6 billion. And now it's upwards of 7.8, which is growing faster, I think, than people were expecting it to. And there's a lot of reasons for that. When I tell people that number, I actually was at a trade show, was talking with contractors. This is maybe a year and a half ago. And was saying, hey, do you do metal roofing? And they said no. And I said, well, are you interested in doing metal roofing? And the guy just keeps walking, goes, no. And I said, that's too bad. Did you know it was $6 billion market last year? And he stopped in his tracks and he turned around and he said, I did not know that. And he came back over and he talked to me. And so I do think that people who aren't in metal maybe don't understand the way that metal is growing right now or how it's projected to grow, which is faster than most of the other traditional roofing products. And it's continued to expected to grow through 2030. And you're like you said, there's a lot of reasons why. So it's hitting on a lot of things that are in people's minds right now are really important. So anything from energy efficiency to low maintenance. And then the really big one, right, is performance and that idea of durability, longevity, which is kind of it's not just about being sustainable, right? It's more about being resilient, which is, I think, part of the industry is moving from just sustainability, which has to do with recycling and energy efficiency, and to something that's really we're saying that building products that are more resilient, that they stand up to tougher weather and they last longer are actually maybe the most sustainable products that are out there. And there's a movement because people don't want to keep replacing their roofs. They don't want to go through the headache with their insurance companies, and insurance companies don't want to keep replacing roofs either. So they're incentivizing. We've seen all kinds of things happen with insurance companies across the country where they're trying to find ways to incentivize people to buy more resilient building products and use more resilient building installation techniques, right? So like we talk about fortified and some of that stuff.
Right.
But it's happening all across the U.S. and it's just an interesting, all of these different factors all coming together. And it's really, metal is kind of at the crux of that. It is readily available. It is the most popular product other than shingles that are out there.
Right.
It's expected to keep growing. And I really think one of the things, this is a caveat, but that we're seeing is I'm passionate about helping contractors who want to get into metal, but it's scary to them and they don't know how to do it. They're not sure how to get started. Like, our industry needs more qualified installers. That's just the reality of it. I was just talking with our engineering managers this morning about we have to do better for the industry and being able to educate contractors so that they feel confident installing it and that people are getting a really great installed metal roof that's going to last and have all the benefits that, it's touted, but because it's installed correctly. And so, I know we're not the only people. There are associations, there are other manufacturers that are really working to try to make this happen. But as a metal industry, that's really something I think we're all really focused on because it's growing. There's a demand for it. It's growing in popularity. And we need to make sure we have the workforce to be able to install that stuff correctly as we go forward.
Definitely, because it can be the best product on the market. If it's
That's
not
right.
installed properly,
It's
not
not.
going to perform. Yeah.
It's totally true. It is.
Yeah. And then it gets a bad name. It's like,
Exactly.
oh yeah, I had a metal roof and I had nothing but problems with it. And,
Right.
We don't want that. And we know there's a challenge in the industry overall when it comes to labor, right? And so the importance for contractors to get that training that they need, it is just critical. So how does Central States support contractors in, getting into metal?
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually have a field training manager that is on staff, and he travels all over the U.S. With customers and finding strategic contractors who they raise their hand and say, I want to know how to do this. And we go and we teach them how to do it. Or we bring them all in and we teach them how to do it. He also is on the phone regularly with contractors who have questions, who are dealing with something that they've never dealt with before, and they will turn their camera around. And so he has a model in the back of our building where he goes and he'll turn his stuff around and he'll show them. Even though I love technology, right? Even though he's far away, he's still being able to show them, hey, this is what we're talking. This is the part I'm talking about. This is the hem. And being able to do that for them. So that's been new for us this year, and it's been really successful and really looking to expand that. So if you're a contractor and you're interested in it, you should reach out to Central States. You can find us at centralstatesco.com because we'd love to connect you with a distributor in your area, and set up a training if we need to.
Yeah, when you said field trainer, I'm thinking just one. You're going to need more.
We're going to need more. The industry needs, and it's interesting, when I've talked with groups like NRCA in the past, MCA, MRA, they have so much good curriculum. They have so many good printable, readable, watchable training. The one thing those people don't have, and they're being honest about it, they're like, hey, we don't have these in the field people, and that's where we need manufacturers to step up to the plate and help provide that for the industry. And so Central States said, hey, we'll do that. And so we're working through that right now.
Yeah, that's cool. And you guys are involved in all those associations that you mentioned. And, that's what we need. We need more manufacturers to step up to the plate and provide those resources, because you're helping a contractor. That's building a relationship, right? So it's a win-win. It's a win for the industry. It's a win for the contractor, and it's a win-win-win, and a win for the manufacturer.
Yeah, and I would say a win-win-win-win-win because right, it's the reason that we love working with our vendors, people, in the steel industry and the paint industry, because when we win, they win. We love working with our distribution partners because when they win, we win. We love working with their customers, the contractor, because when they win, we win. And so it creates this amazing sort of partnership of all of us within this industry. And the demand is there. Like, let's be clear. In metal, the growth is there, the demand is there, and we work together to help capture that and get people what they want, which is a really beautiful, really high quality, well-installed metal roof. Then everybody wins.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so installation is one piece of it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, design,
Yeah.
estimating. How do you help there?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's an interesting thing. So we've been talking a lot about roofing, but the truth is, I mean, there's other products in metal that are super hot right now. So metal siding, super
Yeah,
hot right now. I mean, everybody wants to talk about metal siding and the natural looking wood grains, metal buildings, the pre-engineered metal building market. While things like roofing are down kind of across the country, the PE&B market is not really. It's still growing. And that's part of this idea of a recession-proof business is that if you have suppliers and you have your hands and you have knowledge in all of these areas, when something is down, you can simply pivot and say, awesome, this is down. It's going to come back. It always does. And in the meantime, we're going to go and focus more in this part of the market that is not down and it is actually growing. So I bring up those two products, siding and then metal buildings, because it is interesting for roofers specifically. There's been some research done that the crossover between being a roofer and also being able to do exterior siding it's very similar, right? It's a really
right.
good fit. And if I would say even like traditional building products like asphalt shingles and vinyl siding, it's a good fit, but they're less similar. In metal, you have metal panels, and actually the transfer is very direct, right? There's some different trim pieces. There's a little bit of installation, but it's very similar. And so it's a really good crossover that if you get trained to do metal roofing, you can easily pivot that knowledge and understanding to be able to offer a completely different kind of product. And the benefit of that is you suddenly are able to increase the revenue per customer, which is really important, right? So, and that's another sort of recession-proofing trick is that
Yes.
I'm not just getting this particular customer to buy this one thing from me, a roof, but I'm now getting the roof and I'm getting the siding and I'm probably getting the gutters and I'm getting all the soffit and I'm getting
Yes.
all of these different things because one of the things I had heard this saying, it was great, is that the easiest customer to sell to is the one who's already said yes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so using that, if you've already sold the roof and you
Mm-hmm.
have the ability, the supplier and the knowledge to do these other things, then it's an easier yes for that customer. And one of the things people don't always think about when they think about pre-engineered metal buildings is, we can do giant factories. It's incredible, right?
Yeah.
A lot of roofers, that's not necessarily the thing they're going to pivot to. But what we can also do is you could work with a manufacturer like Central States that has easy estimating and design and engineering. And we take care of all of it for you guys and put it all together and then deliver it as a package that you can install. You could do somebody's garage. You can do their shed, you can do their barn, and that's another value stream, another revenue stream that you guys can open up to the people you just sold the roof to, and hopefully you got the siding too, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It makes perfect sense. And are you
yeah,
seeing more contractors starting to do that? Maybe they've been doing metal roofing for a while, that
yeah.
now they're interested in adding the walls and the siding.
Yeah, a little bit. And that's why I like to talk about it because it's not as much as I'd like. We are starting to see people who've been doing roofing, and all of a sudden they go, I think I'd like to try to do a metal building. I'd like to try because our business makes it easy for those people. So you asked the question about the like sort of the estimating and design tools. And
Right,
I
right.
got on a whole different path and I didn't even answer your
That's
question.
okay. But you do it.
But we do, right? So we have easy roof wall siding takeoffs that you can submit them through a salesperson or you can submit them online through our awesome customer portal, Central Link, and they get turned around in 48 hours or less, right? Full cut lists and a quote. Super fast, super easy, easy peasy. But then
Yeah.
we also offer this now for pre-engineered metal buildings, right? So if they're simple buildings, you can submit it the same way. And again, 48 hours or less, they get turned around. And so it really requires so little from the contractor. They need, and we can help them know how to install it. We can help them with all of those things, but simply saying, hey, I have a need. This is the kind of building. Can you help answer my questions about this? What other things do I need to think about with this building? Because we have all of that knowledge in house. And so, I do see roofers starting to ask about metal buildings because they're like, I think it was intimidating before, like, I'm not a metal builder.
Right. Right.
And it's like, hey, you don't have to be, right? So like, we'll manage the engineering, make sure it meets the building codes. We'll do all of those things for you, and make sure that you get the building with the pre-drilled holes and the labeled parts and the instructions, so that you and your crew can put that up. Now, they definitely need some instruction and know-how to suddenly just like pivot from being a roofer to a metal builder. But
Right.
it is interesting. The more roofers that I'm seeing who are saying, hey, I'm interested in learning more about metal buildings, and understanding how to put those together. So that's a crossover I see. The siding one, I see it a lot with shingles and like vinyl, and we're trying to make that connection. Go, guys, metal to metal is even easier, right? If you understand that, and I think we're going to start seeing more of that with how hot metal siding is right now. I was just in Pennsylvania a couple weeks ago, and every single place I went wanted to talk about metal siding, and specifically all of that natural, hyper realistic wood grain stuff. It's very hot.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's so beautiful.
From not very far away, it is almost impossible to tell that it's not real wood. It's incredible, and people are really responding to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So you make it super easy, because I think one of the things that scares people is, oh, I've got to buy the big machines, and I've got to bend my metal, and I've got to make these investments. But you take care of all of that. It just comes ready to install.
Yeah, and some people, I get it, right? They look at metal roofing, and then they think about becoming their own manufacturer, and I would say we've had some customers that have tried that, and it is harder to be a manufacturer than people think it is. There are a lot of parts to it. And so our entire business is built around the model to support your business, so that you don't have to be your own manufacturer. 140 delivery trucks that deliver on regular routes, sometimes daily. Wide variety of panels. We stock all this coil that nobody else is going to want to have to stock all of it. Varieties of paint systems, so many different panel profiles, different quality levels, so for different uses and different customer types, and then dedicated reps and all of these design tools to make it super easy. So your ordering people don't really even have to think about it. They can go in, they can plug the quote right in there. It orders all the parts for them. So it is interesting. I understand the attraction of saying, hey, I'll get my own machine, I'll order my own coils, I'll be my own manufacturer, and it works out for some people. But we've had a number of people who tried it and thought, this is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. And it's like, and we make it so easy. We make it so easy for everybody.
Definitely, yeah. There's more involved than it appears to be, and you guys certainly are on it. You do it every day. Yeah. The stuff you're making is in a controlled environment too, right? The quality is there.
Well, and because we're such a large manufacturer, we buy direct from the best mills in the country. 97% of our entire supply is all domestically sourced, which is of much higher quality and has much better specifications and quality control. So there's less variation, right, in your steel. Yeah. And so most people who are small, they simply can't get that. That's not something they have access to. But because we're so large, we can.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
Yep.
I'm there. So, Melissa, this has been a great conversation.
Yeah.
To recap, I want to say, what were your two words? Were adaptability and diversification.
Yeah. And I have like a little like pitch at the end here, if we're done, is that customers don't want more contractors. They want one contractor who can solve more of their problems. And then the last thing is, really 5 years from now, it's just a question to every contractor listening right now. Will your company be known as a roofing contractor, or will you be known as the trusted exterior building solutions partner for your market? And I think adding metal to that helps you answer that question.
Sure does. Yeah. You were spot on with, homeowners, customers don't want multiple contractors. They want one trusted exterior solution provider. Yeah. Wow. Good stuff. All right. So centralstatesco.com is the website, and Central States has a full directory on Metal Coffee Shop. You can learn more about them there. Melissa, thank you so much for being here.
I always love it. We love Metal Coffee Shop, Roofers Coffee Shop. You guys are awesome.
Thank you. And thanks everybody for listening. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. We want to see you on a future episode. See you next time. Bye.